Today, I want to talk to you about what I call men's peer groups tools. As you know, I run men's peer groups, and there are so many transformative tools that we use in them, but you don't have to be in a peer group to use these tools to benefit from them. And this is a universal tool. This one has been around for thousands of years, but I don't think most of us really think of it as a tool, as a strategy, as a way to live our lives. And this one's called confidentiality. Confidentiality is essential, certainly in running a peer group. We can't have a men's peer group if there's breach in confidence. And it's pretty obvious why, because we lose trust. But, breaches come in all shapes and forms, and I'll share with you a little bit about that. But first, I want to talk to you about the power of confidentiality, especially in a world where there's so little confidence that's held. Never before in human history have we had this much communication without actually saying anything of substance, had this many sort of opportunities to betray confidences, and it's not always intentional. Sometimes it's forwarding an email and not realizing somebody else was copied on that, or that there was material down in the email that wasn't yours to share. Maybe sending the wrong text to the wrong person, or there's 1,000 ways this can happen in this day and age, or publishing something online and maybe it was a picture and somebody's in it that, they didn't want you to share. There's 1,000 ways we can violate confidentiality. I take confidentiality extremely seriously, partially because of my former profession as a rabbi. One of the jobs as a clergy, I think most people think of this with Catholic priests, but it's true in all religious traditions. It's certainly true in Judaism. One of my jobs was to hold the confidence of people who walked through my door and sat with me. Now, it's partially because we all need a safe space to go share that with. But from a religious perspective, there's something spiritual that happens when we can have that space and dump whatever we need to say into that realm. There's something primal about confessing, and that's what it is. It's confession. You don't have to just be Catholic to go to a confessional, or in Judaism, we have it in certain holidays where you go and you confess in front of God. We need places to bare our soul, to say the things that only will otherwise live in the shadows, to share with another human being the weight, the burden of carrying this around. I can't say it strongly enough. We all need a place for confession, or you can call it therapy, going to your therapist's office. It doesn't matter what you call it. All that matters is that we have a place, a space, a person to receive that. And yeah, you have to have the right person across from you to be able to receive this, to hold this, to not judge you, to not try and fix you. That'll be another tool that I share with you. Bottom line, we all need and deserve that. So in our peer groups, we take extremely seriously the power of this peer group, that what's said here stays here, as we always say, opening with every peer group, and what's learned here can be shared anywhere. So you can take the lessons from a peer group and share it, but you can't take the person's words. In fact, my wife stopped asking me what happens in peer groups because she knows I am an iron box. Nothing that I heard or experienced in my peer group will be shared with even my closest confidant, my wife. And, at first she would ask me, and finally she gave up. And now she really, first of all, she doesn't want to know. But second of all, I think she really respects that I will not breach confidence, because that means I won't breach confidence in my marriage. She knew that already, but it just reinforces that. And here's what I've seen. The slippery slope, the slippery boundaries really betray trust. Again, not, putting on Facebook what we learned in a peer group, but there have been examples shared, not in my peer group, but in others, of somebody was at a cocktail party and was sharing somebody else's story, but it wasn't theirs to share. It was the other person in the group. And they found out later that they shared the story and they were a little hurt. They weren't betrayed. It wasn't that big, but it broke down the confidence. And honestly, when somebody's sharing something with me that I know is not theirs to share, I lose trust in that person that they can hold my confidence. Because who's to say that they're not turning around and breaching that confidence that I have with them, sharing it with somebody else? So really starting to take seriously our relationships and what people share with us is essential in life. When I'm coaching men, when I'm guiding them, one of the things that we really work on is learning what needs to be shared, because so many men I coach and guide hold too much inside of themselves. They carry it as a sort of a symbol of honor and strength, that they can carry this all by themselves. That's not good. We are not here to journey through this life on our own, bearing the burdens by ourselves. We need, again, a person, a place, a community to share that with. So it's a way for a man to learn what's his to share, what he needs to share, and what's not his to share. And really doing this work as a man outside of peer groups has helped me to be more open and vulnerable with people around me, to learn trust. I had my confidence breached many times in my previous life when I was a rabbi, and I stopped trusting people. I started to become very calculated and political and savvy. And I realized it was hard for me to make friends. It was hard for me to bare my soul with people who were close to me, other than my immediate circle of my wife and my kids and my family, etc. But with other men, I had a very hard time because my confidence was breached so many times. But now that I'm in a conscious community, where the men in my circle, in my tribe, not only respect the power of confidentiality, but live and die by it. I've learned how to soften. I've learned how to share. I've learned how to be more vulnerable. And for me, that has been transformative. And I know it will be for you too. So take this idea of confidentiality out into your life and start playing with it, seeing where we're a little slippery with our confidence, where we're sharing where we're not supposed to be sharing, and really start to ratchet that up, start to solidify that so you don't have leaky boundaries. And the more you do that, the more you attract quality people to you, the more you're opening them up for vulnerability and true connection and communication, and the more you'll be able to do the same. That is the power of peer groups. That is the power of this tool, confidentiality.